Hi and Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Yoga Saputra, and alongside with my group members, we have collaborated on the structural drawing project. For my specific portion of the assignment, I was responsible for drafting the cross-sectional detail, which I will be referring to as section TT, as well as the reinforcement schedule located on the right side of the drawing. I also responsible on drawing the right side elevation of the drawing. Let's begin with this. I began the drawing by using the rectangle command and slowly build up from there. For every single space here, I use the offset command to give the correct size. The middle point here, I crafted by finding the middle point and just pulling straight the lines. And then I find the text, and then I just find the grid line correctly from the beginning. I did the grid line before I drew the store to get the correct size, consistency to all the drawings. And then to draw the drains, I use the PDF provided to get the accurate measurement for all the tiny little drains that I do. For the text, I use the text command, and for this I use T-circle command to get the correct circle and object size. I get a T-circle. So to ensure everything look neat and tidy, I of course use different lines and layers for every single drawing. For example, the grid line have their own separate layers. I turn it off, and the drawing have their own separate layers to ensure that I could view everything normally. Like text label have their own separate command, doors and window have their own separate layers. Now we move to right elevation. Right elevation is practically the same. I first drew the lines, and then I just copy the size and move it over here. Because all the measurement is almost the same, I can practically copy from the first and then just move it over here. And of course I give different layers for all the drawing, and also I measure it one by one to ensure that the drawing is equivalent to the PDF given. That's it. Thank you for watching.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Razik Ashfir bin Kamaruddin. My matrix number is CN 250259. Okay, in this project, I'm doing the front elevation. So the first thing I do is make the rectangular, following the measurement 3.700 meter, and then millimeter, and then 0.00 mm, and then the rooftop, I use the hatch command to make the rooftop pattern. This line, I use line properties to make sure there's dash other than the solid line. Other than that, I was making sure the rooftop angle was 20 angle. And that's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faris Fahmi Beramzi. Matrix number CN250388. Today I will present the method used to redraw this symmetrical roof plan at a scale of 1 to 100 using AutoCAD. First of all, the drawing units were set to millimeter. Next, I establish proper layer management to keep the workplace organized. The drawing is separated into several key layers: grid, roof outline, hatch, and text dim. The next step was constructing the axial grid line using the line and offset commands based on the plan dimension of 6,000 millimeter. A highly critical detail here is the placement of section line T. Looking at the original blueprint, this line does not sit directly on grid 2. It actually requires an offset distance of 1500 millimeter to the right, so that the section cut passes precisely through the horizontal root ridge line. Once the grid layout was ready, I drafted the base wall perimeter, measuring 12,000 millimeter times 6,000 millimeter using rectangle command. Since this roof structure requires an eave overhang to protect the fascia board, I use offset to expand the wall boundary uniformly outward by 600 millimeter to establish the true roof boundary. For the roof geometry phase, I activated the polar tracking function and lock it at a 45-degree angle. The hip lines were drawn from the four outer corners until they intersected to form the main ridge line in the center. To show the thickness of the metal ridge cap, I offset the center ridge by 150 millimeter to both sides. I then clean up the overlapping joint at the corners using the fillet command with radius 0. Finally, the roof surface texture was applied using a user-defined hatch with a 150 mm spacing to follow standard technical drafting practices. The hatch angle based on the slope 0 degree for the tops and bottom slopes and 90 degree for the left and right slope, ensuring the drainage channel visually run outward. The section call out for S and T were inserted as a reusable block, while the material specification were typed using MTEX. With everything complete, we move over to the layout space and set the viewport scale precisely to 1 to 100 and plot the final drawing as monochrome PDF. That's it for roof plan. Thank you.
And hi to Dr. Nordalila. So my name is Putri Nazatinisha, matric number CN250359. So for today, I will be presenting the process of creating this floor plan. In this video, I will explain each step of the workflow, starting from the grid line until the floor plan was fully completed. Okay. So the first step was creating the grid line because it is the main reference for the entire drawing. To create the grid line, I'll first use the CL command. To draw the reference line. Then I use the offset. So just start from here and here. Then I use the offset command to create the remaining grid line based on the dimension given in the drawing. So for the overall horizontal dimension, this here, is 2000 millimeter divided into 2, which is 6000 millimeter on each side. While the vertical dimension is 6000 millimeter also. After completed the grid line, I then label them as 1, 1, 2, 3, okay, and A and B for the horizontal grid line. Next, I started drawing the wall. I first use the line command, okay, to create the wall layout. So here. Create the command to create the wall layout by referring to the grid line. Just by referring this to grid line, I create this section. Next, I'm using offset command to create the required wall thickness for the both external walls and the external wall that separate the store 1 and 2. Just I'm using the offset to create this and this. Next, I will use the trim and extend command to clean up the intersection and remove any unwanted lines. This helps produce a cleaner and more accurate wall layout. After completing the walls, I drew the apron around the building, which is this one. So I will offset 900 command from the outer wall with the required distance to create the apron. Then I use trim to remove the unnecessary lines so that the apron follows the shape of the building properly. Okay. Next, I will creating the drain, which is the cover drain around the building, which is this one. Okay, so similar also with the apron, I use the offset command to form the drain layout. So this one is the apron, so I use the offset to create the drain layout. Next is I inserted all the doors and windows according to the given work plan. So we just started from the doors. I first created the opening by chipping the part of the wall. Just it. Then I drew the draw leaf using the line command and created the draw swing using the ARC command. For the window, I created this one. I created the window opening according to the dimension provided in the drawing and placed them to the coordinate shape. Throughout this step, I make sure that every door and window match the measurement shown in the plan. Next, which is the dimension. Once the main drawing was completed, I added the dimension using the dim command. By editing dimension is very important because it makes the drawing easier to read and ensure that all measurements are clearly presented. This is this one. After that, I will insert the text by using the text command. Okay, I label each room as 1, store 1 and store 2, including the floor area, the 36 square meters together with the floor finish, which is cement reader. Beside that, I added the construction notes such as the wall specification, window details, floor levels, and drain information as shown in the reference drawing. So, finally, I inserted the section symbol to indicate where the sectional view are taken. I place the section symbol at both ends. So that the cutting direction is clearly shown. Before completing the drawing, I did a final check on all the layers, dimension, text symbol, and line work to make sure everything was complete and follow the given drawing. Lastly, that's all for my floor plan drawing. By following to this oral workflow, I managed to complete the floor plan accurately based on the drawing given. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for watching.
Assalamualaikum, selamat sejahtera. Nama saya Muhammad Rosli and my matrix number is CN25028. Today I will be presenting section S-S, a detailed cross-sectional drawing of a storage facility comprising 2 units, which is store 1 and store 2. This drawing was generated at scale of 1:100. The primary objective of this section is to illustrate the vertical relationship between the structural arrangement, floor to ceiling height, and the material of composition, moving from the foundation up to the roof pitch. Let's break down the three fundamental here, which is the level and the height. On the left, you can see our datum level. The ground level sit at the 0.000 meter, with the floor level slightly elevated at the 0.22 meter to prevent the water ingress. The roof beam level is established at the 3.700 meter, providing a clear internal clearance height of 3.500 meter for the storage, and the total height from the top roof level is 5.232 meter. For the grid and the dimension, the structure features symmetrical layout spanning a total width of 12,000 millimeter. This is 12 meter, split perfectly into 6,000 mm, laid across the grid from grid 1, 2, and 3. For the superstructure, this is the upper from the substructure. The external walls are specified as a 114 mm thick brickwork with a 19 mm plastering on the both sides. For here, bringing it to the standard nominal thickness. For the natural ventilation and lighting, top hung aluminium frame glass window are integrated. For the roof construction, the roof features a double pitch design at the 20-degree pitch. The load pads travel from the metal decking ridge cut down to the hardwood, falling by 75 mm multiply 35 mm, supported by 100 mm multiply 50 mm hardwood fuses, transferring the roof load safely down to the RC beam and the wall plate. Now let's move from the into the CAD execution and the drawing management. For the layer, we use the layer management list to keep the drawing highly professional and easily editable. And the strict layer hierarchy was used. As you can see in the layer properties panel, different components are isolated by the color and function. For the red is used for primary structural outline and hatching, and for magenta and pink is utilized for the dimension, centerline and grid out call out, ensuring for the readable without clustering the structural line. And for white and cyan, they are layering, handle, annotation, text and leader line. For the conclusion, the section S provide the complete, clean and architecturally sound breakdown of the building score. By using the discipline layer workflow and precise dimensioning, this drawing is fully optimized for the work contractor review on the site and the engineering approval.